Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is part 2 of 2, or the finale of What If Deku Had a Samurai Quirk. Yeah, I don't really have that much to say. Make sure to check the links in the description. Make sure to leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. Show love to the video. If you want to continue seeing me make slightly longer videos and or kind of videos every single day, make sure to show some love. It tells me that you guys are really liking it. Also, I am going to kind of experiment with this new way of doing videos. Maybe I'll do like 2 parts, and then you'll have the movie the next day. Or maybe I'll even have a double upload where it's the movie and another part 1. I haven't decided 100% just yet. But as always, though, if you guys enjoy, please show some love to the video. But that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And let's get right into it. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya and his class are finally going to go into their Provisional Hero License exam. And the Provisional Hero License exam, it's gonna be something to behold. Because Izuku is ready for whatever is to come. And in all honesty, he's prepared to take on anyone who's going to face him down. And to start off, you have something very simple. You have like a dodgeball-like sequence where everybody has to tag each other with these red balls to basically turn off each other's lights and, for the most part, actually eliminate each other. And Izuku, well, he has no issues in doing so. He is extremely fast, extremely strong, extremely capable, especially with the usage of One For All. His usage of One For All is already extremely high. It's at 40 freaking percent. So, and with his powers, his strength, and all the above, are already, he honestly is more prepared than you could imagine. And he's able to get through this portion of the Provisional Hero License exam very, very quickly. But that's when we get on to this next portion that is going to be a lot more important than anything else they have currently done. And that is this rescue-like portion of the exam, or the practical-like portion of this exam. And it all has a lot to do with Izuku and many others working together to try to save a multitude of people. And Izuku begins to do that, helping those who are in need, those who are crying out for help, and being able to determine who needs help and who doesn't need as much assistance. On top of that, Izuku is helping, here and there, but the real help that he's going to be able to give is when he stands on the front lines to face against an incoming villain attack or fake villain attack of Gang Orca and a bunch of fake villains. They would stand there, awaiting and watching as Izuku would go head to head with Gang Orca. And in all honesty, Gang Orca doesn't even stand a chance. I mean, Gang Orca is restricted to an extent because he's not allowed to go all out against the students, but Izuku himself is putting it on Gang Orca. Everyone's watching in awe, looking at how fast he strikes through, how he seems to be just already knowing what Gang Orca is doing, and he even unveils some new attacks where he slices through the air, creating kind of like this wind-like strike that slices through every single villain there, knocking them all to their butts and to their backs, and just laying them to waste very quickly. Not killing them, of course, but knocking them out and handling the issue of those villains quicker than you could imagine. And everybody watches in awe at the aspect and also the prospect of what Izuku can potentially be, and frankly, what he is right now. And it's an amazing thing to behold, an amazing thing to watch. And Izuku Midoriya just shows off skills that many others would have no clue were even possible at this point, especially with his progression at being a potential candidate of being a full-time hero in the next coming years. But after it is all said and done, Izuku gets a very, very high score, like a very high score in the Provisional Hero License exam that would lead him to getting his obvious Provisional Hero License. And that Provisional Hero License, it couldn't feel any freaking better for Izuku Midoriya, because all he's thinking about is the fact that he finally did it. He freaking did it. He is now here. He is now ready, and he is now on track to doing exactly what he wants to do, and now he is on track to being the hero he wants to be. And it's an amazing thing to watch, and an amazing thing that Izuku Midoriya is basically capable of doing and continues to be able to do. It's pretty damn awesome, and Izuku shows every single person that there is levels to being a hero, and he might just be on a completely different stratosphere than everyone else. And that's the reality of it. And everybody, honestly, they don't feel bad about Izuku being so far ahead, but it just makes them feel like they should push even harder, try even harder. And that right there is a very important thing, because if everybody works harder, if Izuku Midoriya makes everyone push harder, then every single person is going to get better. Especially because Izuku has already made someone like Bakugo push and also get better in general, especially with how far behind he was in comparison to Izuku. Bakugo was behind Izuku, right? He was falling behind massively, and Bakugo was chasing after basically a ghost, chasing after Izuku in hopes of trying to catch up, of trying to be better, trying to be as good, if not better, than Izuku Midoriya. But of course, it's not that simple, especially with where he's at the moment. But he still tries his best to catch up and tries his best to get to the point where, you know, he's somewhat in the same kind of vicinity as Izuku in terms of hero work and or hero association. That he wants to be up there with Izuku. He wants to be on the same level, if not better than Izuku. So having these other people who are basically chasing after him, trying their best to catch up to him, that is a big thing. And that is a big thing that many people will definitely try their best to, you know, keep up with, and many people will basically get better because of the way Izuku approaches things. Now, with all that said, with the provisional hero license done and in the past, Izuku now continues with what he has to do. And one of those things that is going to be continued with and or kind of progressed with, and that is basically him working with other people and him working with basically a lot of other hero agencies. Now, the main hero agency that he would get actually accepted into and personally offer to is Sir Night-Eye's agency. And the reason for this is not because he's just the successor of All Might, but on top of that, he is basically shown to Mirio after a bit of a sparring session that he is at a level that is of pro hero caliber as well. So of course Mirio would basically tell Sir Night-Eye that it's a good idea to have someone like him around, and probably a good idea to see what he is capable of and see what he can actually do. And that is the reality of it. And Izuku, well, he gets his chance with Sir Night-Eye's agency, and he gets his chance with basically working alongside Mirio Togata, especially when their whole idea is to try their best to basically take down someone by the name of Overhaul. And Overhaul is a big component of the villain society. Not as big as someone like All For One, but a big part of basically these gang war societies, and he's a big part of the Shie Hassaikai. And the Shie Hassaikai has been a very big issue for a very long time, but with the help of Izuku, maybe they will be able to take them down once and for all. And what they wouldn't even understand and what they wouldn't even know is that one day when they're on patrol, when both Izuku Midoriya and Mirio Togata are actually on a patrol, they run into somebody that they had no idea or were not expecting to run into ever. And well, this is what comes, and this is what happens when you run into, well, Overhaul, someone that is very dangerous, someone that could truly make a difference in terms of hurting somebody that's around. But also, you gotta be careful when dealing with someone like Overhaul, especially with someone that could truly kind of hurt those around you without even thinking. But what happens when you have to mix the danger of Overhaul with the actual idea of someone being in massive danger, like Eri, a little girl who had nothing to do with anything, a little girl who truly is in a bad spot right now, that is being used for her own blood because of the quirk that she was gifted. She is in a bad and terrible spot that she can't get out of, that someone needs to help her get out of. And that's what Izuku wants to do. Izuku wants to help her get out of her situation, but how can he do it? Does he allow Overhaul to leave? Does he allow him to leave and then, eventually siege the Shie Hassaikai base and then save her then and there? Or does he try to stop him now? I mean, the risks of trying to stop him now are pretty damn big. But there is always risks. There's always something. There's always a bad omen. And Izuku, well, when Eri runs over to give him a hug and ask for his help, he would hug her, in which he would ask if she's okay, everything's going to be all right. In which he looks at Overhaul, and Murio's basically a borderline kicking him, telling him to stop what he's doing. But Izuku, well, he has an unbreakable will, an understanding that if someone needs help, they will, or he will give them help. He refuses to allow them to leave, putting Eri behind him as he immediately has his sword appear in his hand, and he tells Overhaul that he is making a big mistake doing what he's doing, making a big mistake thinking he could just leave. Overhaul would laugh in his face, telling him that asking if he has a death wish, and Overhaul goes and touches the ground with his bare hand, but then nothing happens. Izuku Midoriya continues to give off this aura. It's as if it's his samurai's will, this unbreakable resolve. And as this is happening, as Izuku is giving off this aura of just unbreakable will, it seems like the quirk that is actually within Overhaul is backfiring, is not working. It's as if it's intimidated in a way and is being completely held off by something, in which Izuku would end up realizing that it has something to do with the actual past users of One For All, combined with the will that he already had within his own quirk that he had no idea even existed. Basically putting the former users of One For All in a place where they're connected to Overhaul, holding the quirk from actually being utilized, canceling the quirk in a way, and allowing Izuku to approach Overhaul and knock him out quicker than you could imagine, cutting through him and also knocking him out, not killing him, but knocking him out and putting him under cuffs and or quirk canceling cuffs, and then forcing him back to prison for the rest of his life. But yes, there are good and bad things of this, in which Sir Night-Eye does bring up the fact that they don't have information now on where the Shie Hassaikai base is. I mean, it could be really anywhere, but they end up taking a little bit more time than normal to actually find out where the base is, trying to backtrack where Overhaul came from, but they eventually do find it. So the idea of Izuku saving Eri and defeating Overhaul sooner rather than later, well, it's not the worst idea in the world. Plus, Izuku tells him and tells all of them that he was never going to sit there and allow a little girl to be scared, to be hurt, and just to be basically in a horrible, horrible, horrible spot. He was never going to allow that to happen. He was never going to allow them to just hurt Eri, and he was never going to just, allow that to happen the way it happened. And he was never going to just be like, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna let you leave, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. He was never going to let that happen. And yes, I get it. There's a lot to be done, and there's a lot of things that could have went wrong. A lot of things that could have went wrong. But Izuku, he knows that he would have never let somebody just get away that was a terrible person, that was such a bad person that basically would have just killed Eri if they didn't know any better. Yes, they didn't know for sure if it would happen, but he was never going to take that risk. And it looks like it ended up working in their favor, because they got Overhaul, but that's not it. They were able to get Overhaul, they were able to put him behind bars, and then they were able to find the Shie Hassaikai base, and Izuku helps them cut through the entirety of the base as they defeat villain after villain, and immediately every single one of them would be behind bars, in prison, and cuffs around their wrists, and the Shie Hassaikai would then be defeated. Now, there are other issues at hand. There always will be other issues at hand. And Izuku, well, he isn't and might not be the biggest component of every last one of them. But there is one issue that every single person there realizes is a bigger issue than they could imagine. And that is a rumbling and terrifying Gigantomachia running through Japan just months later, trying to actually get All For One, Shigaraki, and many of the League of Villains out of prison. And as Gigantomachia runs through, as heroes try to stop him, as everybody tries to slow him down, it's borderline impossible. And Izuku stands there and tries his best himself to cut through Gigantomachia, and even uses all of the power he possibly can, creating this spirit-infused sword, a giant sword that would come striking down on Gigantomachia. It would slow him down and stop him momentarily. And their plan to basically put Gigantomachia to sleep, utilizing Midnight's kind of pheromones, it's not working to the degree they thought. They keep trying over and over, and Izuku eventually would jump up on Gigantomachia, and he would splice his sword, a giant sword, through Gigantomachia to ground him, put him right in the ground. And as he holds the sword, these black-like tendrils would out of nowhere come out of his body. This is the awakening of just one of his many quirks, something that he didn't even know would happen, but it's Black Whip surrounding the monster and holding the monster still as it connects with Izuku, and the Black Whip also connects with the sword as it's continuously holding this giant monstrous creature to the ground. And everybody watches on as Izuku screams in agony, trying to hold this creature still before he gets to the actual, prison. Izuku holds the creature as eventually you have, Midnight put the creature to sleep, and eventually the creature would fall short, unable to move, and unable to actually have its last-ditch efforts to save its master, being that of All For One. Everybody struggles and gasps for air, and they're just happy that they're able to stop/defeat the monster that could have ensued in some very, very, very dangerous spots. Something that could have been extremely, extremely bad was able to be stopped, at least momentarily, and luckily enough, no one was hurt in the long run, and luckily enough, no one was going to be hurt in the long run as well. Now, with all that said and done though, Izuku Midoriya has so much more to do than just do what he's been doing. Izuku Midoriya knows that there's a lot in his future. So much more than he could possibly even imagine. So much more than you could possibly even fathom. Izuku Midoriya knows that to be a hero, he has to truly live up to the expectations of even someone like All Might himself. But even Izuku Midoriya didn't know that at a young age, when he becomes the hero, when he starts becoming that number one, that he would fall on his sword very, very quickly. Because the years he had, all the years in the future he could have had to basically be that hero, to be the hero that many others thought he would be, it seems like they were coming to an end at a young age of only 22. It seems that the usage of One For All combined with his actual quirk has hurt him, has made him a lot weaker, and has actually made him in a spot where he no longer can continue pushing forward, that he can no longer be the hero he wanted to be. And this makes him sad. This makes him extremely angry and frustrated. How? How did it get to this point? How is he able and how is he able to utilize the quirk so efficiently, but that now he's unable to even utilize it at all? It makes no sense. It doesn't. And he honestly is ripped to shreds by this idea that he's no longer going to be a hero, and that he's going to basically let every single person down that he genuinely wanted to make proud. And, well, let's just say Izuku Midoriya, well, he would fall short of what he wanted to do, and he would be given the option by even a slightly older Eri herself to rewind him to the point where he's, you know, able to fight once again. But Izuku tells her that it'll just continue to be the same thing over and over again years later. It's only going to give him a couple years. But then Eri asks him and tells him, well, what about if we rewind you to before you took on One for All, before you took the Quirk of All Might? In which Izuku, well, he has a long conversation with All Might himself, and even the vestiges tell him that that is the only way. The only way for him to continue being a hero and continue being the damn good hero he knows he can be. In which Izuku says, what about One for All? It stops here, that he will be the last. In which they tell him that he would have been the last anyways. You might as well give him the opportunity and the chance to be the hero that he was going to be anyways in the very first place. Don't, well, sacrifice your hero career because a lot of us and the other One for All users weren't ready to truly help society the way we could have. In which Izuku realizes that this is the only way, and they rewind him to the point where he no longer has One for All, and he's back to, honestly, a pretty young age. And this does confuse Izuku a little bit, but as he grows up and as he continues on, Izuku continues his hero work, less powerful, but still with power that he can be grateful and honorable for. He's honored to have the power he has, and he's honored to put a good name and also a good idea to the world of what a samurai truly is. And Izuku Midoriya continues to save, help, and basically handle issues after issues. And even if he couldn't achieve that #1 status anymore, and even if he would be short of that #1 status, well, it doesn't matter to him. Because what matters to him is that he's able to help, save, and do everything in his possible basically idea to help those who truly need it. And even if he doesn't reach #1 status, at least he can stand right beside someone who does, the one and only Mirio Togata. But with all that said, if you enjoyed, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. This is for now the end of What If Deku Had a Samurai Quirk. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to show love to the video and show love to the comment section, the like button, and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.